Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Parkhouse's virtual open day. So this is the first time we've offered an open day here at Parkhouse, and the wonders of technology in a time when we're not allowed to bring you into the school as we would under ordinary circumstances allows us to virtual access to all of our different areas. And we'll have a nice evening for you, I think, so you can really appreciate what Parkhouse is all about. So just to give you some information about what's in store tonight, we've got some videos and some commentary from the primary school. So you'll hear from Mrs. Natasha Hilton, who's our head of primary. And we'll also see a video which involves some of our primary students and teachers, and there'll be some parent commentary on that as well. You'll also then hear some information from Mr. Moyes, Mr. James Moyes, who's our head of secondary. And again, there'll be another video with some commentary from our students and from some parents. You'll get an opportunity to see our facilities, which I think is useful for you to get a picture of what the school actually looks like. We'll then talk a little bit about community and give you an example of the wonderful and vibrant community we have here at Parkhouse. And then we'll go on to play a video where you'll hear from our two admissions team. So you'll hear from Brooke and from Levi, who will talk to you about the admissions process and what you need to do to apply to the school. And then we'll finish off that with a question and answer session. So if you'll notice on your screens, there is an opportunity for you to type questions. We'll be looking at that and managing that throughout the evening so that you have an opportunity to type in questions. And as we get to the end of the evening, Mr. Moyes, Mrs. Hilton and myself, compared by me, will be then talking through the questions and answers and making sure that you've got all the answers you need. So a little bit from me before I hand over to Mrs. Hilton after we've had a brief video about ISP, our parent company. So we are owned by International Schools Partnership. However, that's a fairly recent acquisition. We're a school that's been going now for 27 years in Qatar. We're one of the oldest British schools in Qatar, and in fact, we're one of the highest respected schools in Qatar with exceptionally high examination results, both GCSE and A-level, and excellent outcomes for all of our students. And that's been built up by a history of dedication to the quality of education and our care of children as we've gone through our evolution from being a small nursery school back in 1994. To give you an idea of the stability of the school in 27 years, I'm only the third principal. So I've been here now, this is my fourth year. With stability, obviously brings you that quality and that dependability. And quite a lot of our teachers have been here for up to 10 years as well, which I think is quite something when you think about the international market. And I think that's a large reason why Parkhouse is such a successful school and we have such academic success. In addition to our academic success, we also have a high level of sporting success. I know that Natasha and Jim will talk about that a little bit later, but we're known for our sporting success. There's lots of opportunities for our students to get involved in team sports and individual sports within Parkhouse, together with our rich ECA program, but also our partnership with Evo Sports, which offers the after-school activities using the facilities in the evenings and the weekends. And finally, one of the things that we're really concentrating on now is our performing and creative arts. So we have a vibrant performing arts program at the school. We have a fantastic music department. We have some amazing musicians in our student body. And we aim, in non-COVID times, of course, to do an annual production where the students, both primary and secondary, have an opportunity to get on the stage or even be behind the scenes with sound and lighting and that kind of thing, so that they can have you there, host you to one of the performances that we'll do throughout the year. And they're always fantastic and thoroughly enjoyed by all. In addition to that, we have lots of creative subjects, and Natasha will talk to you about the international primary curriculum. Jim will talk to you about the arts and music in the secondary school as well. And you'll see that that we actually have a very broad and balanced curriculum based upon the English national curriculum with enhancements for the international market, but also some extra programs we put on to make sure that in every area your sons and daughters will make fantastic levels of progress. So without further ado, what I will do now is play a video, and the video is to give you a flavour about International Schools Partnership and what International Schools Partnership are all about. So please enjoy the evening.
Excellent, fantastic. Thank you for that, Mr. Moyes. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to our virtual open evening. It's obviously a really nice thing for us to be able to do this and share our school with you in a really different way than we would normally do. So I'd just like to welcome you from the perspective of the primary school at Parkhouse and say welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm quite new to Parkhouse myself, so actually as a parent it's really lovely to be able to speak from I suppose a perspective of somebody new coming into Parkhouse as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And I would just like to kind of share with you some of the things that I've identified, I suppose, as the new head teacher, but also as a parent as well. So coming into Parkhouse, there's like a really unique feeling about the school. We are a school that is, I suppose, really family orientated, and it's really different to many schools. It feels like we're just one big family, which is absolutely lovely. And I suppose one of the other things that I'd just like to go into is really the dedication and the commitment that we have from staff. That's something that I would say is really, really unique to our school. Our teachers are dedicated and committed to bringing about the best educational experiences to your children, which I would really love to see within our school. Our school, you know, is, I suppose, leads the curriculum in a couple of different ways. We have the national curriculum, which is, I suppose, the forefront of what we lead through the primary school. But then we use the national curriculum and the early years framework to feed into some really creative ways through using IPC and the EYPC, which is the International Primary Curriculum and the Early Years Primary Curriculum. And both of these frameworks allow us to put a real international edge to what we're doing. And so what I would like to do now is really show you a video of what we do in the primary school, and then come back to giving you some more detail about that and how we do that. Okay, so if I go through that video and then give you even more detail about that and how we're going to, I suppose, give you more detail about the actual primary school itself.
Here at Parkhouse, amazing learning and amazing teaching go side by side.
I like Parkhouse because it helps me learn new things and I have lots of friends here. The reason I smile when I come to school is because I know I'll learn new things.
I like all the subjects here and I have a very nice teacher.
The primary school curriculum at Parkhouse is one that's really, really exciting. We generally follow the British national curriculum, so all of our lessons stem from that. And then we feed it through using the IPC curriculum, which is the International Primary Curriculum.
My favorite IPC topic is making the news because you can write many articles and you can discover new things.
At Parkhouse, we use the EYFS
which is the Early Years Foundation Stage framework, and it really sets out what we want the children to learn by the end of reception.
The best thing about my job would be watching children achieve their goals and reaching their full potential.
I like my teacher because whenever we do online work, she's always very nice and puts some fun stuff into the work.
In nursery, this starts off with lots of activities to help them with their speaking and listening and vocabulary skills. And then they move on in reception to sound work, so they're learning the names of the letters, and then they're learning how to put the words together to help them read and write. And then moving on from there, they will do some carpet work, some whole class work, some small group work, and lots of independent learning.
My favorite school club is netball. At the same time, I learn netball and basketball. It's quite an influence for me.
In primary PE, we try to encourage taking part in physical activity as much as possible. We run an extensive extracurricular activities club before and after school, mainly for the teams, but alongside this we also have different clubs available for children who aren't on teams. That way encourage as many children as possible to take part in all the different clubs available and develop their skills, not only socially but also physically as well. They range from multi-skills, from fitness or ball skills, and that way children can come to as many different clubs as they want and develop their skills so they could eventually go on and represent Parkhouse at tournaments.
The teachers have always been incredibly encouraging, and if my children needed a little bit of extra help, they were the first ones to reach out and say, look, this is a plan that we can do to kind of get your kid where it needs to be. I'm extremely, extremely thankful for that. And I think, like any parent, we want the best for our children, and I think the teachers at Parkhouse, they really bring that across.
My favorite school memory is when I went to a trip with all my friends, and then I came back and had a surprise birthday party.
All students have the opportunity to participate in in-house events and concerts. These are a lot of fun for every student. In Parkhouse, we are very happy and excited to have you all being part of our musical team.
If you wanna be my lover.
Oh, there you go. Who doesn't like the Spice Girls? So I think that video does the school some real justice there, and you can see the variety of what goes on in our school. You know, I mean, there's even more. You know, we have, you know, an amazing languages department. We've got French and Spanish going on in the primary school. Arabic is amazing. We've got Qatar history as well, Islamic studies. So the children just have just such a wide variety of things that they can actually cover when they come to Parkhouse. Just as a summary in terms of, you know, assessing our children, we look at the children as a whole. Our teachers are really dedicating to, you know, doing formal assessments, summative assessments, and you would get more detail about those things in joining us as well. One of the other things that we offer is a really strong student leadership program in Year 6, and our children have the opportunities to lead the school and to have real impact, and that prepares them for when they're going into secondary school, where they take on more leadership opportunities, and Mr. Moyes will go into detail about that in a little while. One of the other things though that I wanted to point out was when you saw Miss Brewster there, and she was talking about all of the sporting opportunities that the children get, and then you saw Miss Nunes, and she was talking about all of the musical opportunities that the children get as well. And then that final part of the video where you saw our Spice Girls on stage, and I suppose that leads me into identifying and pointing out the facilities that we have in the school, and we've got a video showing that to you as well, because yeah, there's just so much going on at Parkhouse, and I'm really proud to be here.
So good evening, I'm Mr. Moyes, I'm the head of the secondary school, and I just want to take a few minutes to talk to you about what goes on in the secondary school, what we do as a school, what we offer, and how that translates into the education we provide for your son or daughter. So we have students from age 11 to 18 in the secondary school, and we have 4 form entries, so there's roughly 650 students in the school, and they're a very diverse student body. We have 70 or 80 different nationalities, and that makes for a really eclectic mix within the school, and it's an excellent place to work as a result of that. We've 50 teaching staff roughly in the secondary school, so we have subject specialists across the board, the majority of whom are UK trained and very experienced at teaching the GCSEs and the A-levels that we offer. We offer the UK national curriculum as an English school, so we do international GCSEs for the students aged 16, then going through to AS and A-level, the students staying on to the 6th form and going to university from there. Academically, we're very, very proud of the work our students do and the results we get. Over the past 2 years, we've been getting over 80% of our students have been achieving 5 A stars, so 5 good passes, including English and maths. And at A2, 80% of our students have been achieving grades A to C in their subjects. At Key Stage 3, we offer the UK national curriculum, slightly adapted for the Middle East, so it's appropriate for our students, and where we can, we make it more relevant to our local area. And that is a broad curriculum with the students studying English, maths, science, humanities. Everyone does a language. They study arts, PE, computing. So it gives them a real breadth in their studies across the 11 to 14 age range. When they then move up to IGCSE, everyone does English, maths and science, and then they pick 4 subjects. And this is where they begin their specialisation of where they want to look at and picking the students, the subjects that they really want to focus on. And as well as that, all students in year 10, 11, they have to do core PE. So they have to do some physical education as part of their studies. Once we move to AS and A-level, this is where the students are now 17, 18, and they really start to focus in on the subjects that they are wanting to concentrate on and look to study beyond school. So they'll be studying 4 AS levels typically, and many of our students, or some of our students, leave at the end of year 12 and go to universities in the Middle East or potentially overseas in America and do a foundation year. But probably 70% of the students at least stay on to year 13 and do the full A-level and study 3 subjects to A-level. Now, that allows them then to go straight into universities, and the students go to universities all over the world, from Australia, the Middle East, America, the UK, Europe, a hugely diverse collection of universities that they go to. Now, Mrs. Hilton mentioned student leadership, and that is a big part of the life in the secondary school. We have our student council, we have a head boy, head girl who oversee that and run it. But then within the 6th form, there are social committees, there are student voice groups all the way through each year group with year representatives who come to the student council and raise issues that they're facing within the school. And then the head boy and head girl and the student leadership team bring those to me, and we sit down with Mr. Robson, the head of pastoral, and talk about those issues and let the students be heard and try and resolve them where we can. Miss Hilton's already touched on sport. That's a big part of school in Parkhouse, and we strongly encourage students to take part in physical activity and take part in sporting events, because we feel it is good for them as people, develops them as a whole, and allows them different avenues to express themselves. We were very proud a year ago to win the British Schools in Qatar Games for our under 13s, and that was a great result and shows the quality of the sports of the students in the school. We also have lots of extracurricular activities that go on. There's a Model United Nations who take part in conferences across the Middle East. We've got an eco club, a medical club who organise debates and presentations. We do the Duke of Edinburgh International Award, where students aged 14 to 16 have to learn new skills, carry out some service, and also go on an adventurous journey and have to sort of become a bit more self-sufficient. Also in the secondary school, we're lucky enough that we can get involved in the International Schools Partnership Buddy Exchange, which allows students from our school to exchange with students from another ISP school around the world. And obviously in pre-COVID times, that was an excellent opportunity for them. So what I'd like to do now is show you a short video highlighting some of the things in the secondary school and hearing from some of our students.
New students at Parkhouse are welcomed with open arms by both students and teachers, and the environment created here is very supportive and very comfortable for students.
The most rewarding aspect of being a student at Parkhouse is the fact that the school has opened me up to so many more opportunities, such as being involved in MUN conferences, whether it's local or international conferences, and also giving me the opportunity to join Duke of Edinburgh, which has really allowed me to grow as a person outside of the educational curriculum.
Having been in Parkhouse since reception, I can confidently say that this school has exposed me to a variety of people from various cultural backgrounds that I would not have been able to meet had I not come to this school.
What I like about Parkhouse Sixth Form is that teachers are very supportive and friendly. They are willing to help with any questions you may have. Additionally, the community is very small, so the support system is always there to help.
The teachers at Parkhouse are passionate about their subjects and motivated to get all of their students to really embrace the knowledge in their classrooms. And as teachers, they support students with their both academic but pastoral needs as well.
Here at Parkhouse, we believe that every child is an artist. We aim to teach our students the vital skills that they can bring forward to their careers and to their futures, opening many doors within the creative industry.
I would recommend Parkhouse to prospective students because as it's been my first year here, I've realized that there is a very supportive environment created by teachers that allows students not only to prosper within the classroom, but also opens many social doors for them.
The advice that I would give is to understand that it's okay not to know what you want to do with your future as of right now, but to also understand that Parkhouse provides a wide variety of support groups and support resources to help you better figure out what you may like and what you may not like.
Sport is really popular here at Parkhouse. The pupils love the curriculum we have. It's very varied, from team sports such as netball, football, volleyball, rounders, and to badminton, individual sports such as athletics and swimming. We also offer AS level and GCSE PE. We do inter-house competitions so that all pupils get a chance to do some competition, but we're also part of Qatar United English Speaking Schools League in Qatar, so we can compete against other schools.
At Parkhouse, our vision for music is to enable each student from all ages and backgrounds to have the opportunity to learn about music, to play musical instruments, to make music and create music with others, to sing individually and to be part of a choir, and to have the opportunity to progress to the next level of excellence.
As a parent, all I want for my children is a bright future, as well as a very healthy social life that is supported by caring teachers and lovely students, and I know that this is all guaranteed with Parkhouse.
Well, in terms of supporting students, that process begins in year 12 when the students start, and we encourage them to think about where their career path lies, why they've chosen certain subjects for A-levels, and how those subjects can help them apply for the university of their choice. We communicate regularly, not just with the students, but also with their parents to enable them to make an informed choice. So we encourage them to take active part in doing their own research, as well as supporting them with their research in making sure that they are fulfilling the requirements needed to apply for universities all around the world.
Parkhouse in 3 words would be challenging, encouraging, and rewarding. Friendly, supportive, and enriching.
Empowering, passionate, and deeply resonating.
Exciting, creative, and stimulating.
Thank you, Mrs. Hilton. Thank you, Mr. Moyes, for those words about your schools, but also appreciation for the videos as well. I think there are no greater ambassadors for a school than the students that attend. So I think they've given a wonderful insight into what the school's all about. They're so wonderfully eloquent. They've done a fantastic job of portraying our school in an incredibly positive light. So I hope you appreciated those, and you can see the kind of students who come to Parkhouse and the kind of students that we really want to nurture and develop and make sure they have the best possible life opportunities when they leave us. It's interesting to note as well that Mr. Moyes and Mrs. Hilton are part of our wider leadership team at the school. I do feel very proud to have my leadership team. There's an extended leadership team below them as well. They're highly competent, highly experienced individuals who have a deep knowledge of the curriculums that we're offering. And I think it's a great pleasure to work with them as well. And one of the things I can guarantee to all of you is that each and every person within the school is deeply committed to making sure that the students get the best possible outcomes that they can. It's also worth pointing out that all three of us are parents at the school as well. I have 2 children in the secondary school. Mr. Moyes has 2 children in the primary school. Mrs. Hilton has 1 child in the primary school with 1 more to come in. So we're invested, as well as being staff at the school, we're also very invested in the education that happens within the school as well. So clearly we want to make sure the very best happens for our own children. So why would we expect any less for anyone else? We move on to community now, and in a second we'll just play a video to you to show an example of some of the fabulous community events we have here at the school. It's a wonderful place to be, really, from a community perspective. We have 70 different nationalities. The vibrancy of the school and the variety of different experiences the students can have, I think for my own children, being able to mix with children from lots of different cultures, lots of different nationalities, is a great privilege for them. And I feel that they've had a wonderful experience being educated at Parkhouse, being able to mix with these different people and experience the different cultures and traditions that are associated with that. And I think it's enriched their lives significantly. One of the big things that we had recently, which you can see on our website, was our 25th anniversary. So Parkhouse was 25 years old 2 years ago. We had a fabulous celebratory event where you'll see a performance by virtually our entire school was on stage at one point, which is amazing to see. We also welcomed back Mrs. Heather Brennan, who started the school in 1994 as a small village school. We welcomed her back. We welcomed also Mr. Douglas Smith, who was my predecessor. So actually in that in our auditorium on that evening, we had all 3 Parkhouse principals. Bearing in mind we were 25 years old, as I said before, it's actually quite a remarkable achievement to have that as well. We took an opportunity then to also just commemorate the achievements of Mrs. Brennan, who played such a huge part in what we are today. And we actually renamed our auditorium the Mrs. Heather Brennan Auditorium, so that we had a lasting tribute, if you like, to the work she did to get Parkhouse started and to take us to where we are today. Thank you for your questions so far. It's just a reminder to post any questions you have. As we get some questions through, if they're personal questions, we will try to reply to them privately to you. If they are questions that we could have the benefit of answering in front of everybody, we'll publish them and you'll see those questions coming through. So after we've gone through a few more videos, we'll start to go through the questions and answers. But for now, what we're going to go through is just an example of our community, and we're going to play you our video about International Day.
today's event very typical of the school. The whole school came together, parents, families, teachers, assistants all together, and brought the whole community together for a fantastic day. International Day, people from all over the world sharing their home experiences with other children from all over the world.
Hi there, my name is Brooke and I'm the Admissions Manager at Parkhouse English School. Today we're going to chat through some of the frequently asked questions from prospective parents that are applying to the school.
Hello, my name is Levi and I'm the Registrar here at Parkhouse English School. My role involves dealing with all incoming applications of prospective students. So to start us off, I'm going to take us through the application stages. What are the application stages? There are 6 steps in total. Step 1, create your application online. Step 2, submit your children's reports along with their QIDs and pay the application fee of 230 reals. Step 3, your application will be sent for academic approval. Step 4, your application will be admitted to the waiting pool. Step 5, your child will be invited for an assessment when a place becomes available. Step 6, should your child pass the assessment, they'll be offered a place at Parkhouse. The Year 12 application process is very similar to all applications. The only difference is an additional interview will be held with our head of 6th form. Are there age requirements for each year group? Yes, we have age boundaries for each year group. You can see our age placement guide below and on our website. If your child does not fall within the correct age group for the year that they are applying for, your application will not be selected to be considered further. Assessments. One of my children has failed the entrance assessment. Does this mean my other child who passed will be offered a place in the school? It is the policy of Parkhouse English School to consider the whole family. Each child must pass their assessment before places can be offered to the family. If one child fails their assessment, all applications will be withdrawn. Can my child resit an assessment? We do not facilitate resits for assessments. You will have to apply for the next academic year. How much are assessments? All assessments cost 576 reals per child.
My child is already enrolled. Will my other children be guaranteed a seat in this school? No places are guaranteed, however, all sibling applications will receive priority. Does Parkhouse English School have a preschool nursery? No, we do not. However, we do work closely with 3 feeder nurseries. They are called Little Learners, Acorn and Primrose. We give priority to applications from these nurseries. Does Parkhouse English School provide school transport? No, unfortunately, we do not provide any school transportation. Does my child have to speak fluent English? Yes, all students who are attending are required to be fluent in English. Are Arabic and Islamic studies taught in English? No, both of these lessons are taught in Arabic. How many children are in each class? There are up to 27 children in each class. We hope you found this session useful and we're here to guide you through the whole admissions process. If you have any further questions that we have not covered today, then please contact us on the email addresses below. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Brooke and Levi for the admissions questions. I know there's been a few admissions questions coming through on the Q&A. What we'll do now is we'll go through the questions and answers. So I will compare and I'll either answer the questions or I will invite Mr. Moyes or Mrs. Hilton to answer the questions as appropriate. There's been a lot of questions coming through, so we're not going to have time to answer every one, unfortunately, but we'll get a representative sample that hopefully will give you as much information as you possibly need to be able to make your decisions. So we'll start with a secondary school question, but I think in terms of challenge, this will apply across the school, and there's a similar kind of question later on. So Mr. Moyes, I'll hand this one to you first. I'll read the question out. Are students in the top maths set able to take maths in year 10 and do further maths in year 11?
Okay, so thank you for that one. This is one we have, a frequent question. With our GCSE maths, the students in the top maths set, they do what's called the extended maths course, which allows them to get a 9 at GCSE maths. They also do the additional maths course, which is similar to further maths. The way it is run is they do both the exams at the end of year 11, so they don't sit the exam at the end of year 10, they sit the exams at the end of year 11. But they do have the option to take that that sort of additional maths course, but the exams are both done at the end of year 11.
Great, thank you. So the next one is about the level of support we offer to our students who are, as this question is put, excelling in some of the subjects like maths, English and science. That's definitely a question that can be answered in both primary and secondary school in terms of the challenge that we have for our students. I think we can very confidently say that our students achieve at the highest level. So what I'll do for this one to start with, we'll have an answer from Mrs. Hilton and an answer from Mr. Moy. So let's go to Mrs. Hilton for the primary school first.
Fantastic. So in terms of challenge for our students, obviously all of the children are challenged daily through differentiation within the lessons. However, I'm sure you're aware, and based on what you've seen from us already, we provide the children with extensive opportunities outside of the school as well to also enhance their abilities. We've got competitions in terms of writing and writing competitions. So we've got poetry competitions, which are they enter into. So at the moment we have entered into a COBIS competition, which is for all schools across the Middle East. We have the same for maths. We've just had maths challenges. So those children that I suppose excel in any of those subject areas have the opportunities to enhance their knowledge in those areas that way. And that's the same for any of their sporting abilities as well. And they once they get into year 6 as well, they have opportunities to do work across the schools, both primary and secondary school as well, and there's collaboration going on there as well.
Thank you. Mr. Moyes.
So yes, obviously we have a range of abilities in the school, and the students who excel are a very important part of that, and they're encouraged in all lessons to push themselves, and teachers are encouraged to push them, and that varies in how it's done depending on subject and the material they're covering. Sometimes it's by trying to increase their breadth or their depth of understanding. Sometimes they might push them to look at slightly harder concepts that come up slightly higher in the school, but normally it's trying to get them to go deeper into it to get a deeper understanding. So again, as Mrs. Hilton talked about, extension tasks potentially for them and those sorts of activities. And again, like in the primary school, we have competitions, maths competitions, writing competitions, those sorts of things to sort of encourage the students to flex their academic muscles and challenge themselves. I mentioned in my speech earlier about things like medical club, and again, that's an opportunity where for those students looking to go into medicine higher up the school, they have to really stretch themselves and stand and present to doctors and other students and parents and present ideas, and again really challenge themselves and stretch themselves in that way. So there are lots of opportunities for that.
Thank you, Mr. Moyes. So we'll move on to the next question, which is how are parents involved in the education process at Parkhouse? I think this is probably one that I can take at least initially. We have an active involvement with our parents. We don't operate, we're a British school, so don't operate like an American school. I think it's worth pointing that out, where there is very heavy involvement from parents in terms of teacher recruitment and perhaps some decisions about the curriculum and such like. We don't operate like that. However, for our parents, we do have involvement with some of our days, such as international days, to come in and celebrate our community. We make sure you're fully involved in knowing where your child is through our frequent reports, through our frequent parents' evenings. We host many sessions like this. We call them our Parkhouse Connect sessions. If you go onto our website, there is a specific page that talks about Parkhouse Connects. And we host sessions 3 or 4 a term about the different aspects we think you'll be interested in. So it'll be things such as how to support your child in maths in the primary school, the options process in the secondary school for GCSE and A-level. We make sure that you are aware of, through our weekly newsletters, of the different events that are going on in the school as well. The teachers are accessible when they can. Their priority, of course, is to teach your children, but they're accessible when they can, so they can start to answer some questions you may have. And I think that's a good summary, I think, of where we are in terms of parental involvement. Mrs. Hilton, is there anything to add to that?
No, I'd agree actually. You know, our PFA's strong. Our parents have opportunities to come in and share the children's learning. We have open afternoons. You've got the normal parents' evenings as well. And I would say that actually, you know, there's constant communication going on between staff and parents and sharing. So we've got a pretty open door policy, to be fair. Obviously, COVID's put a bit of a dampener on lots of it, but you know, in general, it's open door policy. And at the moment, we're communicating virtually and having Zoom meetings in exactly the same way we would if we were open.
Okay, thank you. So going back to the questions again, we talk about languages then. So what languages are offered in the school? So I think it's probably best to do a summary of primary and secondary languages there, because there are a couple of questions about, I presume, some primary ones, but also secondary. So let's go to Mrs. Hilton first, talk about the language offering in primary school.
Okay, excellent. So in the primary school, we have French, Spanish and Arabic as languages. If your children are first language native Arabic speakers, they do Arabic. That's guided by the ministry. And then from reception, they do taster sessions in all of the languages actually, and they do that whole class. But from years 1, 2 and 3, they do separate Spanish lessons, and then 4, 5 and 6 do separate French lessons.
Thank you. Mr. Moyes, secondary.
So once the students move into secondary school, as Ms. Hilton said, the students who have Arabic passports or Arabic first language speakers, they carry on studying Arabic. The non-Arabic speakers, they then select a preference as to whether they prefer to do French or Spanish. Now, we can't guarantee anyone they'll get their first language choice because it depends on numbers, but French and Spanish are the languages that the students then study from year 7 to year 9, and then they pick whether they want to continue with that. It's worth pointing out that the students only study one language, so they are doing either Arabic or Spanish or French.
Thank you. I missed a question out actually going to languages 1, and there's a question here about what makes Parkhouse different to other British curriculum schools in Doha. I think the thing we have that is a great advantage to us is our history and how long we've been here, how long we've been running our school. What that brings is longevity of service for our staff. So I think a school is only as good as the teaching staff that are within it and the skills that they have and how they then present that curriculum to the children in their classroom. And we're very lucky. I suppose lucky is probably the wrong word, because we do treat our staff incredibly well. We do recruit incredibly carefully, and we do look at exactly what we need in the classroom and target our recruitment compared to that. So having fantastic teachers in our classroom who aren't just here for 2 years and then move on to another school, they are here generally for a lengthy period of time. And that brings consistency, continuity for the students and quality. And I think one of the things that probably makes us really quite different is that sense of community that we're hopefully getting across to you tonight as well. I don't think that has changed since we've become part of International Schools Partnership. We've been very focused on making sure that it continues, making sure that our students have that opportunity. I think it's been, of course, slightly stymied by the COVID outbreak and how that has not necessarily allowed us to carry out some of our community activities that we had planned. But when we're fully open again, you'll see that actually we do invite parents into events. We do have our very active PSA, which is run exceedingly well by our chair of PSA, Penny McBratt, at the moment. And we'll see what that brings next year. But I think it'll bring even more, even though Penny's doing an amazing job this year to keep it all going. We'll have our performances, musical performances, our stage-based performances with our performing arts as well. So I think you'll see that we give the children lots and lots of opportunities, wide and varied, our sporting achievements, etc. And we really are, through academic results, one of the best schools in Qatar. There are very, very few, in fact, possibly only one other school that gets marginally better examination results than we do. And that's through the quality of our offering and the quality of our teaching staff. So I think that's what makes Parkhouse different to other British schools here in Qatar. Moving on. How has Parkhouse managed to maintain and ensure the quality of education during the recent restrictions brought about by COVID? I think it's fair to say that life has been very challenging, but as the principal of the school, I've been incredibly proud of how teachers and our students and our parents have all been amazingly supportive and have adapted to the way of working. We've just, we're appreciating there's going to be an increase in the restrictions in Qatar, and I think it's, we can say now that the schooling isn't going to be affected by that, which is great news. We've kept our school very safe during this. We've had absolutely no cases of person-to-person transmission, which has allowed us to continue that face-to-face 50% education. And we've made sure we've put our curriculum in place so that the students are missing as little as possible.
They've got music and.
So so if I hand over to one of Mrs. Hilton or Mr. Moyes just to talk a little bit about the education in the primary and secondary school, then they'll be able to tell you how the lesson structure and the way they do things has actually helped the education to continue. Let's start with Mr. Moyes on that one.
Okay, so in the secondary school, obviously, as Mr. Smith said, COVID presented a huge challenge for us, and obviously initially we were totally online and we had to adapt to that. This academic year it's been students in school 50% of the time, and we thought long and hard about how we were going to make that work. And what we've done in the secondary school is we have half the students in one day in which they are having face-to-face lessons with their teachers. So all of the sort of what you might call the content delivery, the explanation, that is done face-to-face. Now, the teachers therefore are doing, the students therefore doing less question answering in the class in terms of, writing answers to questions. They're doing the explaining, the dialogue, the discussion part. The next day, those students are at home, and that's when the teachers set work for them to do to allow them to, show their understanding and develop that understanding. And so that also means that every student gets the same provision, because the students who are at home one day get the explanations the next. And so by doing that, we've allowed to ensure that the students have had a consistent education, depending on, it doesn't matter whether they're in Group A or Group B, they've received the same lessons. It also means that we haven't made the students sit and try and follow lessons for hours and hours on end on a computer, because although they can do that for short periods of time, it's very difficult for them to do that for long sustained periods in a 5-hour school day. So we've tried to keep it so that at home they're doing their sort of independent study and developing that independence. At school, they're doing the face-to-face and really getting the knowledge into them and the discussion about it. I'll now hand over to Ms. Hilton to talk about the primary school briefly.
I have to say it's very similar in the primary school in terms of the thinking behind what we've done. We are in the same way 50-50. We work on a 2-week timetable, so the children have access to all learning and it's fair and equitable across. So the children have access to all of the specialists in the same way. We are doing some live things at home, so we've got live language lessons. So the days that the children are actually at home on their home day, they have a live language lesson. They have registration online, and so if every single day they have registration online and or in school. If they're in school, the video's up so all of the children can see that. Yeah, they're provided with learning that consolidates what they've done in school the next day when they're online at home the next day.
Excellent, thank you both. So we'll move on to the next one, which we can answer relatively easily. So how do your IGCSE results compared to others such as Doha College? And I think there's a question towards the bottom, how does Parkhouse's A-level results compare to other schools? I'll give a little bit of information on that and then I'll hand over to Mr. Moyes. I continue to be astounded, quite frankly, by the achievement levels of our students in the school. They do an amazing job. Our GCSE and A-level results are amongst the very best in Qatar. If you compare us against other British schools of a comparable stature and quality to Parkhouse, you'll find that we are better than the vast majority. Certainly as far as our A-level results are concerned, there have been occasions when we have return results that are equal to the very best in Qatar as well. Mr. Moyes, do you want to add anything to that?
Not much other than to say it's, our students do exceptionally well in GCSEs and A-levels, and there are lots of factors that go into that. They work very hard, the teachers work very hard, parental support plays a part in that. All those factors combine to allow us to get the students excellent results. And so Over the last 2 years, we've had 82 to 90% of our students have achieved 5 good passes, including English and Maths, which, as Mr. Smith said, is right up there with any other school in Qatar. At A level, the vast majority of our students go to their university of first choice. I'm not saying 80% of our entries were at grade A to C last year. And at A level, it is, yes, the results form an important part of it, but also the support that the sixth form team are able to provide in university applications is also a vital part of that, of ensuring that our students not only are doing well academically, but then, you know, applying to university well and getting into the colleges they want to go to.
Thank you, Mr. Moyes. I think the other thing to point out here is it's not just about pure academic results for some of our students as well. We talk about what we call value added. So actually what our statistics will say a student is supposed to achieve compared to what they actually achieve. And in fact, our students get way in excess of what, and they're all only indicators, of course, statistical analysis is, but they get way in excess of what these statistics might say they are. So that shows you that the teachers are able to add real value to our students as well, which is actually something for me as a parent is an incredibly important thing. So going through the questions again, we've answered about the challenge. We've talked about academic achievements rather. So we go down to the teachers' qualifications and professional development. So what are your teachers' qualifications and what professional development opportunities are available to them? So our teachers are mainly recruited from the UK. Sometimes they are UK qualified teachers who've had UK experience, but they've already been working overseas. But our minimum that we look for is teachers who have UK qualifications and have some experience in the UK. Now, what we would ordinarily be doing at this time of year, we're right in the middle of our recruitment season. In fact, we have a very low turnover of staff. It's worth pointing that out as well. And every single year we have a very low turnover of staff. So they're quite sought after jobs at Parkhouse, and we have a huge number of applications. What I would ordinarily have done, in fact, it would have been this week compared to last year. In fact, it was the last time I was actually able to get to the UK under the current circumstances. I'd have flown to the UK to do some face-to-face interviews with our prospective teachers. They would have had pre-interviews with Mr. Moyes or Mrs. Hilton before that, and then we'd have made some decisions when I came back and recruited our teachers for the next year. We have a real drive to make sure our teachers get value out of being here, because what we want our teachers to experience at the school is they arrive as ex-teacher, they leave as a teacher that is developed well beyond what they were when they first arrived. So professional development is actually really important to us. We're putting a lot of structure around that. One of the things that attracted me to Mrs. Hilton as our new head of primary was the fact that she has extensive experience of running a training school at her previous school. She was at a school prior to Parkhouse called British School Muscat, which is one of the highest performing schools in the Middle East, and it had a training school attached to that, which provided amazing professional learning and development opportunities for our staff. So I think I'll just hand over to Mrs. Hilton to talk a little bit about that and the aspirations we have at our school as well, as far as that's concerned.
Excellent, thank you, Mr. Smith. So yes, we have and are planning even more amazing opportunities for our staff. So when staff join us, obviously we only recruit the best of the best effectively anyway. So they already come in with a high standard, and what we do to retain them and to keep them into school and to ensure that our children are getting the best of the best is to continue to develop them. So we have programs in place to develop our middle leaders. Programs that are actual professional qualifications that people can actually be awarded. Both myself, Mr. Moyes and Mr. Smith are leading those with our teachers. We look at any areas that are new and currently being trialled through research, and we make sure that we put those training opportunities in school for our teachers as well. We also make sure that the teachers have opportunities to identify anything that they feel that they need to work on. So yes, we do offer external training for our staff, but we also offer internal as well. There's lots of peer-to-peer work where someone may feel that they've got an area that they may need to work on. They can identify that and work with that as well. We bring in outside agencies to offer CPD opportunities and training for our staff. And we are in a situation now where we've got members of staff that actually can train. So we are already starting to think about opening up training opportunities for people outside of our school as well. So I think we are, because we've got such a high skill set of staff, we are in a position to now really start thinking about how we expand that as well. So yeah, in terms of CPD opportunities, they're vast and they extend beyond our school, and we'll continue to do that as well. So yeah, even as parents, there are things that we'll be offering in the future.
Excellent, thank you. So Mr. Moyes, I'm going to ask you to answer this one. So how do we integrate technology into the classroom and curriculum?
Okay, so all the way through the school, the students study computing. So in primary, it starts where they have computing lessons in the ICT suite, and they start to develop their skills. When they come up into the secondary school, they have 2 lessons of computing a week, and in that they develop their skills using sort of the Microsoft programs, but they also start to look at programming. So we have the explicit skills that are taught, in that respect, where they're integrating technology. Obviously, with the COVID situation, we've had to make extensive use of Microsoft Teams. We were very fortunate this time last year because, well, I say fortunate, we were in many ways well prepared. We'd been using Microsoft Teams across the secondary school for 18 months by then. So the pupils were already used to being in Teams. They were already used to using Teams as a way of communicating with staff. They were used to having set work on Teams. And so when we went into lockdown, it was actually a very smooth transition into, well, now Teams is just going to be used a little bit more. So, and then integrating that into the classroom, all of our classrooms have projectors and whiteboards in the primary school. They all have interactive touch screens. In the primary schools, they also have laptops and iPads that they use in some lessons. In the secondary school, sometimes we ask the students to have a device that they bring in, whether that's, we ask them to use their phone or their laptop, but normally it is a case that the technology is used to support their learning at home and link the 2 learnings together of the school and the home. So yes, it plays an important part, but we very much believe that the technology needs to add to the learning process. So we are not looking to use technology for the sake of using technology. We are using it because that is the best way to do it, rather than if we think it's a fancy way to do it. And so it's about being selective. So there are some cases where we use it more than others, where we feel it works well. I know that Kahoot quizzes are often used as little summaries, things like that in the lessons. So how it is used is varied throughout the school in terms of whether it's interactive whiteboards and touchscreens for the lower school, to programming and learning those skills in higher up the school.
Great, thank you. So moving on to another couple of fairly straightforward questions to answer. So thank goodness we're not going into a full lockdown, but of course we all know that there's a possibility that might happen sometime in the future. Is Parkhouse ready and prepared to support a full programme of school remotely? Yes, we are. We absolutely are. We've worked incredibly hard over the last few months to make sure that our students are well prepared for any eventuality. Our teachers are well prepared. Microsoft Teams is a fantastic platform, as Mr. Moyes has just been talking about, for online learning. We also have platforms ready for our very young children as well. So we are ready. I think it's a lot of time has been spent making sure the students are proficient with the technology. We also produce lots of help videos for parents in terms of supporting your sons and daughters with Microsoft Teams as well. So if we do get to a remote situation, I would say, and it's a very pleasing thing to be able to say, I guess we're much more prepared this time than we were last time. I think we were given 24 hours notice last time that we were going to online learning. And again, everybody stepped up and we got things sorted, and it evolved from there. The evolution has happened and we're ready absolutely to hit the ground running this time if we do go to another lockdown. So please rest assured on that point. The next question, from which year do you start Igcse curriculum? From year 10, We do start some of our science GCSE in year 9 as well, so we can cover the curriculum, but we make sure we cover both Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 content in that. We don't believe that it's necessary to narrow the Key Stage 3 curriculum. We believe that the acquisition of knowledge is all about the building blocks. Therefore, you start in Key Stage, you start all the way down at the bottom end of the school and go through early years to Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 2 into Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. And children are much better at being able to develop their knowledge when they get up to Key Stage 4 if they don't have gaps in their knowledge from Key Stage 1, 2 and 3. So to narrow the curriculum in Key Stage 3 and go to a starting GCSEs in year 9, there's lots of evidence that backs up the fact that that just isn't a sensible thing to do. And the English National Curriculum, which guides our curriculum here in Parkhouse, is all about not narrowing the Key Stage 3 curriculum. And we believe that the IGCSE is best placed being in year 10 and 11, with the exception of a period of time, not the whole year in year 9, but a period of time in year 9 where we go to, we introduce certain science topics. We'll go down to the next one about language. So do we offer a third language? I've just lost that one for a second. Other schools offer a third language, French for Arabic speakers, apart from the English and Arabic. Can Arabic take Spanish along with Arabic? Unfortunately, we don't have that ability at the moment. We look at our Arabic speakers taking Arabic as a first language, and then we have French or Spanish for our non-Arabic speakers. We don't actually offer that third language, and at this point in time, we don't have the plans to do that, simply because we believe that we spend a lot of our curriculum time on the languages, and whilst it would be nice to offer French and Spanish, we want to make sure they've got a very broad curriculum, and having an MFL provision in either Arabic, French or Spanish achieves what we want to achieve as far as languages are concerned. This will be one that I will hand now to Mrs. Hilton. Specialist question about nursery. Are the toilets inside the classrooms for nursery? And various other things about supportive for children in the nursery in terms of having accidents and changing children, PE and music, homeroom teaching, and children's breakfast and snacks. And I'm sure Mrs. Hilton can see all of those parts of that question. So can you just give us a brief answer to that list, Mrs. Hilton, please?
Yes. Okay. So we have toilets within so they're kind of in the room but outside of the room. So it's a separate room within the nursery, so the children have easy access. I'm just trying to actually find the question. I'm scrolling. Okay, so that's the toilets. In terms of accidents, yes, obviously, if they did have an accident, we do change them, but children must come to school out of nappies. They cannot, we won't accept any children that are still in nappies. Do they have a PE and music? Yes, they do have access to PE and music as part of the specialists and the offer that we have to the children. And kids breakfast, and they have snacks in their classroom as well, so they have a separate snack time. So we ask you to provide the snacks, and then we have that as a separate snack time as well. I think that answers all of those questions.
Excellent, thank you, Mrs. Hilton. Much better place to answer those than me. So we'll now go on to the last few questions. I think we've got a couple of duplicates coming through here. So Mr. Moyes, this one for you, I think. What percentage of students go on to university and typically are any UK based?
Okay, yeah, so from our year 12 and 13 leavers, virtually all go on to university. We'll have probably 5 or 6 each year out of 70 who leave in the sixth form, who might join the military in Qatar or go straight to work in Qatar, but the vast majority of our students go straight into university. In terms of typically are any UK based, yes, we have lots of students going to UK universities, but we also have students going to Canada, America, Australia, staying in the Middle East. So we do have students going to UK universities, and the UCAS application, the British University Application System, is probably the biggest intake we have in terms of where they go. But we do have large numbers going all over the world. So yes, the vast majority go to university, and a big chunk of those do go to the UK. Mrs. Allen, who you saw him on the videos, is very experienced head of sixth form and very used to supporting the students with those applications, whether that's the Common App into America or UCAS or applications around the world.
Excellent, thank you, Mr. Moyes. So moving on to our last two questions then. So this one is for year 10, do the students take all of their subjects together, or are they all tested in year 11? So the GCSE curriculum is not a curriculum that where they take a series of exams. It's all examined at the end. So it's a 2-year course and they are examined at the end of year 11. What we will do throughout the GCSE course is there'll be a program of continuous assessment. So as the program goes through, we start to develop the students' skills in answering the questions. We teach them the key command terms. We look at examination technique. We allow them to have a look at model answers. We will look at examiners' reports about what went well and what didn't go so well with students' answers. So by the time they do get to year 11, they then take a mock examination, which is where they sit in exam conditions exactly as they would do when they've taken their real exam. And then they'll get a set of results in an envelope, almost as if they were getting, in fact, we did it electronically this year, of course, and we will do that in the future because it is electronic. All of the results giving now, they get their results, so they feel as if it's a GCSE results day, and then they go on to take their real exams in the May-June time. Now it is year 11, but as you can see, there's lots and lots and lots of preparation that goes on before we actually get to that side of things as well. And then the final question, I will. Sorry, Mr. Moyes, do you want to talk?
I was just going to jump in on a point there on that one, because this is a question that comes my way a lot, of people saying they want to take a GCSE at the end of year 10, and as a school, our view is the students need the 2 years to study the syllabuses to be ready to do those exams as well as possible at the end of year 11. And so I have frequent conversations with parents where I'm explaining this to them, and there are some people I know always want to try and, I always feel, rush through the education system and try and get as much of it out of the way. I want to get those exams out of the way. We consistently say no at Parkhouse. We do not, year 10 students do not sit GCSEs. We do not feel it's in their best interest, so they do them at the end of year 11. And that is also how every student in the UK would be sitting them, and it's because that's, as Mr. Smith said, how the courses are designed to ensure that students have time to grow through the course and mature and develop the skills they need to answer those exams as well as they possibly can.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll go to our final question. This will be a question that both Mrs. Hilton and Mr. Moyes will give a perspective on as well. So to what extent is schooling in Parkhouse dependent on parents' efforts at home? So I think that's always an interesting question to answer. So Mrs. Hilton, let's go to you first.
Excellent. So I would say, obviously, as a school, we're not reliant on parents to educate their children. However, we definitely work hand in hand with parents. I don't believe that you can send the children to school and then that's it, that everything's going to work. We work in collaboration with parents, ensuring that we best meet the needs of the children. So conversations are happening all of the time. And if there are things that we kind of need the parents to do in order to support at home, we will offer that support as well. And vice versa, if parents feel that there are things that we could do in order to support their children, then we are really up for those conversations. And I think we like I say, we have an open door policy where we expect parents to come to us if they have any concerns, but the same for us as well. And we want to know that both of us, parents and the school, have the children's best interests at heart. So we do expect support and collaboration, but it's all of us working together in order to best meet the needs of the children.
Thank you, Mr. Moyes.
Yeah, obviously I agree with what Ms. Hilton said. I think that the parents' most important job in the process is to value the education of the students, so that they're placing value on it at home, so they're encouraging the student to try and do their best, and that they're being supportive of the school, and we are providing a united front to the children as to this is in your best interest and this is how you need to do it. They're involved with the school's job is to make sure the pupils have access to the materials and can learn it and are pushed, but the parents are needed to support that, because students will occasionally find things challenging. They will, they're teenagers in the secondary school, they will want to give up on things sometimes, and parents and teachers both need to be encouraging the students at those points to try and help them succeed and give them that motivation that they need.
Excellent, thank you both. And just to add a couple of comments from me on that one, I think it is absolutely what Mr. Moyes and Mrs. Hilton said. It is a triangulation here at the school where we're talking about the relationship between the student and the teacher and the parent. And I think it has to be really effective. Communication has to be open, and we have to be mutually supportive as well. You can look at our website to see lots of our policies around attendance, around behaviour policies and that side of things. And that's where we really need your support should we need to call on it as well. But I think it's also fair to say that in normal circumstances where the children are in full time, I think it is very much about that where we are having much more of an impact at school. And of course, what it means is your impact is about that support, whereas I think now the impact is for you is about a little bit more support because of the online learning, where you're having to spend more time with your children, looking through the work and encouraging them. And I think our parents at the school have really stepped up and done an amazing job of that as well. So we're very grateful for everything they're putting in. And they've been incredibly encouraging and incredibly supportive and incredibly positive about the efforts of the teachers and the efforts of their sons and daughters through what is essentially a very difficult period, but we're very proud of what they've achieved. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to Mr. Moyes and Mrs. Hilton for their contributions. Thank you to our admissions team as well. Thank you especially to you for taking time out to attend. We really appreciate you taking just over an hour out of a very valuable time. I'm sure you're very tired and want to relax. I do hope it's been useful. I do hope you've got a real feeling for what Parkhouse is all about, for what our community is all about, for the high standards we have here at the school. And it'll be a school that you'll be thinking is very much going to fit in with your values, and we can certainly assure you that the education your sons and daughters will get here will be of the highest quality. We certainly welcome you on campus as and when we can, of course. That will be a real pleasure to do that. Mr. Moyes and Mrs. Hilton, under normal circumstances, we'll run school tours so you can actually see the facilities. It's a shame you can't do that, but the videos we're playing tonight and this session will be put onto our website. So if you want to revisit any part of it or look at the individual videos from the primary school, secondary school, the facilities, our international day, everything will be put on the website so you can see that and you can revisit and show other people or your sons or daughters or whoever it is you would like to see and see that what a vibrant place Parkhouse is. So have a pleasant evening and thank you again for attending our virtual open evening.